Upon returning from the somber occasion of her grandmother's funeral, Emily was met with an excruciatingly shocking revelation that left her heart in tatters. As she stepped into her home, still wrapped in the heavy cloak of grief, she inadvertently overheard a conversation between her husband and mother-in-law that struck her like a thunderbolt. Crouched silently in the shadows of the closet, Emily's breath caught in her throat as the words she overheard pierced her soul. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. Her mother-in-law, Sarah, with a voice laden with a mix of frustration and scorn, lamented, "Emily, how could you do this to us? How could you betray the family like this? It's beyond comprehension. And where exactly do you think you're going, Mom? Don't even start with this." Her husband's voice, cold and unyielding, followed with a harsh clarity that cut through Emily's heart. "I've come to a firm decision," he stated, his tone devoid of compassion. "Look at our dire situation. We're struggling to scrape by, barely managing to get through each month while cramped into this tiny one-bedroom apartment. It's just not sustainable for the three of us." Emily, already on the brink of emotional collapse, murmured, "I know the space is tight, but there's no need to be so harsh." Sarah's response was a pained, pleading cry. "Don't do this to your daughter. This isn't fair to Emma. She's still just a little girl, for heaven's sake." In the confines of the closet, Emily's heart shattered into a million pieces, the gravity of her predicament crashing down upon her like an unforgiving storm. Each word from her husband and mother-in-law seemed to twist the knife deeper into her already wounded soul, leaving her to grapple with an unimaginable future while the echoes of their harsh judgments reverberated through her mind. "Mom, enough is enough," Emily said with a sense of urgency, her voice trembling as she clutched her ticket tightly. "I'll keep in touch and send money. Farewell for now." With that, she quickly exited, her heart pounding in her chest. Her 5-year-old daughter, Emma, was at preschool, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing in her mother's life. Emily's journey had been fraught with tumult and heartache. When she discovered she was pregnant out of wedlock, she was overwhelmed with a torrent of emotions: fear, anger, and even the dark thought of abortion. However, Sarah, her mother-in-law, stepped in with a voice of persuasion, urging her to carry the child to term. Emily, although reluctant, followed her advice and brought a healthy baby girl into the world. Despite her love for Emma, Emily found herself navigating the treacherous waters of single motherhood alone, yearning for a sense of happiness that seemed perpetually out of reach. The world had been unforgiving to Emily, leaving her isolated and longing for a partner who would offer strong shoulders to lean on, protection, and unwavering support. But such dreams felt distant and almost unattainable. Sarah, ever the stern and critical figure, would often lecture her daughter on the elusive nature of happiness, insisting that it was found in fulfilling familial duties and sacrificing personal desires. As Emily prepared to leave, Sarah's weary eyes followed her daughter's hasty departure. "You'll never return," Sarah murmured to herself, sitting in the cramped hallway, her spirit weighed down by sorrow. "You'll forget us all." The words hung in the air like a mournful prophecy, echoing the deep-seated fears and unresolved conflicts that had long haunted their strained relationship. After some time, Emily geared up for her job as a clerk at the local home goods store, a position she had taken on to make ends meet. The work was mundane, but it provided her with a steady income and kept her grounded amidst the chaos of her life. As the afternoon approached, the weight of her responsibilities bore heavily on her shoulders. With a heart weighed down by a mixture of sadness and determination, she made her way to pick up her daughter, Emma, from preschool. Upon arrival, Emma's small, wistful voice broke through the silence. "Mom didn't come to pick me up again today," she whispered, her words tinged with a quiet sadness. "I'm here now." "Let's get ready to go," Emily replied, trying to inject some normalcy into their routine. Yet, as they prepared to leave, Emma's keen eyes took in the subtle changes that had occurred around their home. Her mother's belongings were not where they usually were, a detail that did not escape her notice. The familiar sense of stability was missing, leaving Emma with an unsettling feeling she couldn't quite place. Emma didn't ask questions, then her young mind was absorbing the scene with quiet confusion. It wasn't until nighttime, as she was preparing for bed, that she turned to her grandmother, her voice barely a whisper in the dim light of the room. "Where's Mom?" she asked, her innocent eyes reflecting a depth of concern that belied her age. The question hung in the air, a poignant reminder of the fragility of their family's circumstances and the unspoken fears that lingered in the heart of a little girl, longing for the comfort of her mother's presence. "Mom is at work," Sarah said with a strained smile, trying to reassure Emma as best she could. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah found herself repeating the same explanation to Emma, each time hoping it would ease the little girl's growing anxiety. Sarah's own heart ached with the weight of deception and the pressure of maintaining a semblance of normalcy. She convinced herself that Emily would return soon, though doubt gnawed at her. A month later, on a quiet weekend, the phone rang unexpectedly. Emma and Sarah were at home, and Sarah rushed to answer it with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. It was Emily on the other end. Her voice, though familiar, carried a tone of irritation and distance that was hard to ignore. Sarah called Emma over, and the small girl's face lit up with joy at the sound of her mother's voice. Yet the conversation was disappointing. Emily offered no details about her life, only that she was busy with work, couldn't send money just yet, and had no plans to return. The call ended abruptly, a stark reminder of the distance that had grown between them, both physically and emotionally. Once again, Sarah and Emma were left in their small, quiet home. The frequency of Emily's calls dwindled to sporadic and brief exchanges. Emma gradually ceased asking about her mother, her once bright eyes now more accustomed to the routine of her life without her. Over time, the little girl seemed to accept the absence of her mother, her expectations tempered by reality. About a year later, Emily sent a modest sum of money, an unexpected gesture that brought a glimmer of hope. The funds were welcomed, but their significance went beyond mere financial support. Emily's calls became a bit more frequent and cheerful, and Sarah could sense a shift in her daughter's tone. It became clear that Emily had found someone new, though she remained tight-lipped about her personal life. Sarah's attempts to learn more were met with vague responses, and she respected Emily's privacy while grappling with her disappointment. As the school year approached, Sarah took Emma to her first grade class, marking another milestone in the young girl's life. By this time, Emma had adapted to the changes and had largely moved on from her mother's absence. Emily's calls continued to come in, often disappearing for periods, rarely accompanied by money, and when it did arrive, accompanied by criticism for how it was used. Despite the sporadic nature of Emily's support, Sarah chose to save every penny cent, carefully setting it aside for Emma's future. The money was not spent but preserved with the hope that, someday, it might provide Emma with something more than just financial support, a tangible reminder of her mother's love and a safeguard for her future. At school, Emma found a true friend in Lily, a girl who came from a loving and stable family. Lily's parents welcomed Emma with open arms, and the girls formed a deep bond that stood the test of time. They frequently visited each other's homes, celebrated birthdays together, and maintained their close friendship throughout their school years. The warmth and support from Lily's family provided Emma with a semblance of the family life she longed for, offering her a sense of belonging and comfort. By the time Emma reached high school, Emily made a startling revelation: she was expecting another child. The news hit Sarah like a thunderclap, leaving her reeling with disbelief and sorrow. "Emily, how could you do this?" Sarah's voice trembled with hurt and frustration as she confronted her daughter. "You've already abandoned Emma, And now you're bringing another child into this world." The conversation left Sarah's heart heavy and strained their already infrequent communication even further. "This is my decision," Emily replied with a firm, detached tone. "I want to have a child with the man I love, and I'm afraid I won't be able to send any more money. You'll need to find a way to manage on your own." From that moment on, a deep-seated resentment took root in Sarah's heart. The burden of Emily's abandonment weighed heavily on her, and she struggled to reconcile her feelings of betrayal with her enduring love for her daughter. The situation worsened when a registered letter arrived, wherein Emily officially relinquished custody of Emma to Sarah. That night, Sarah was consumed by a profound sense of despair. She lay awake, tears streaming down her face, grappling with the painful realization that she had somehow failed her daughter. Questions of where she had gone wrong plagued her mind. Unbeknownst to Sarah, Emma was also awake, having sensed the shift in her grandmother's demeanor. Seeing Sarah's distress, Emma felt a surge of empathy and concern. Quietly, she made her way to the kitchen, where she found Sarah, overwhelmed by her emotions. With a gentle touch, Emma wrapped her arms around her grandmother in a comforting embrace. "Don't cry, Grandma," she whispered. "We're used to it being just the two of us. Everything will be okay." In that tender moment, Emma's compassion provided Sarah with a glimmer of solace, reminding both of them of the strength and love that had always bound them together despite the trials they faced. Sarah wrapped her arms around her granddaughter, trying to find solace in the embrace, yet she couldn't stave off the tears of lingering resentment that flowed freely. The pain of Emily's choices and the weight of responsibility were heavy on her heart, but she took comfort in Emma's presence, a beacon of hope amid the turmoil. As the years passed, Emma blossomed into a remarkable young woman. Her friendship with Lily remained a constant source of strength and joy in her life. Their bond grew deeper and more resilient with each passing year. Unlike many friendships that are marred by petty squabbles, Emma and Lily's relationship was characterized by mutual respect and unwavering support. They shared secrets, celebrated milestones, and navigated the challenges of adolescence together, becoming each other's confidants and cheerleaders. Sarah, now retired, found herself working part-time to ensure that Emma had everything she needed. Despite her limited resources, she was determined to provide her granddaughter with the best opportunities possible, driven by a fierce love and a desire to make up for the challenges they faced. After high school, Emma and Lily decided to pursue medical school together. Lily's parents, keen on giving their daughter the best possible start, offered to fund her education at a prestigious medical university. However, Lily was resolute, choosing instead to stay true to her commitment to study alongside Emma. Their shared journey through medical school was marked by late-night study sessions, shared triumphs, and the joy of learning together. Upon completing their medical education, Lily continued her studies at a university to become a doctor, while Emma began working at a local clinic. The transition from student to professional was smooth for Emma, as her dedication and hard work soon made her a valued member of the medical community. Her skills as a nurse became well regarded, and she found herself frequently sought out by neighbors for home injections and IV treatments. Emma eagerly provided these services, taking pride in her work and earning additional income to support herself and Sarah. Through these experiences, Emma demonstrated resilience and compassion, embracing the opportunities that came her way while maintaining the close, supportive friendship she had cherished with Lily. Sarah's sacrifices and unwavering support were reflected in Emma's accomplishments, and their lives, though marked by past difficulties, were filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future. In May, the weather had turned pleasantly warm, making it a perfect day for a stroll. Emma and Lily met up for their routine walk, catching up on each other's lives. Lily excitedly discussed her decision to pursue a career as a dentist, sharing her aspirations and the exciting prospects of her chosen profession. Emma, in turn, regaled Lily with entertaining anecdotes from her job at the clinic, her stories filled with the daily joys and challenges of her work. As they chatted animatedly, the weather began to shift abruptly. The gentle breeze that had accompanied them turned into a gusty wind, and dark, ominous clouds gathered on the horizon. The sudden change in weather was marked by the first distant rumble of thunder, signaling the approach of a storm. Realizing that running back home was impractical, the girls quickly sought shelter in the nearest cafe. The cafe was sparsely populated, offering a cozy refuge from the brewing storm. Lily and Emma settled at a table near the window and ordered coffee and desserts, their laughter and conversation filling the space as they waited for the storm to pass. Their cheerful exchange was interrupted only by the sound of the cafe's door opening, followed by the entrance of two young men. The newcomers, like Lily and Emma, had decided to take refuge from the storm. Their boisterous laughter and easygoing demeanor immediately drew the girls' attention. The men, noticing the two women, exchanged knowing glances before approaching their table. "Do you mind if we join you?" one of the men asked with a friendly smile. Lily and Emma looked at each other, a silent conversation passing between them. Emma shrugged, signaling her openness to the idea, while Lily responded warmly, "No, not at all. We don't mind." The men introduced themselves as James and Alex. James's gaze lingered on Emma, intrigued by her easy charm, while Alex was drawn to Lily's lively personality. Alex was studying law and nearing the end of his university journey, while James worked as a programmer. As the conversation unfolded, the group quickly fell into an engaging dialogue. They shared stories, exchanged jokes, and found common ground, their initial introductions blossoming into an easy camaraderie. When the storm finally subsided, the rain had left the evening air cool and refreshing. The group decided to take advantage of the pleasant weather and walk together, enjoying the crisp air and the remnants of the storm's aftermath. As they strolled through the neighborhood, it became apparent that James and Alex lived nearby, making their walk an enjoyable exploration of the familiar streets. By the time they reached their respective homes, the new friendships had solidified. Emma and Lily had found not only pleasant company but also a reminder of the unexpected joys that life can bring. From that fateful day, when Emma and Lily met James and Alex, the relationships between the couples flourished and deepened. Emma and James grew closer with each passing week, and their bond became increasingly significant. A month later, Emma felt it was time to introduce James to her grandmother, Sarah. Nervous but hopeful, she invited him over, wanting to bridge their worlds. James was eager to meet Sarah, and the introduction went smoothly, though Sarah was reserved. She had always been cautious, especially after years of grappling with the complexities of life. Yet she welcomed James with warm, if cautious hospitality, hoping for the best for her granddaughter. Soon after, James reciprocated by inviting Emma to meet his family. The contrast between their worlds was stark. James's family, the Johnsons, lived in a large, elegant house that reflected their successful careers. Rebecca Johnson, James's mother, was the esteemed director of a prestigious academy, while his father, Paul Johnson, held a respected position as the deputy director of a small but well-regarded company. Their home was a symbol of their achievements and status, a world away from the modest apartment where Emma and Sarah lived. During the introduction, Rebecca's scrutiny was palpable. She asked Emma a barrage of questions, each one probing deeper into her background, her education, and her plans. While Rebecca maintained a veneer of politeness, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of being under a harsh spotlight. Rebecca's discerning gaze and pointed inquiries left Emma feeling like she was being assessed, as if she were facing an informal interrogation rather than a warm family introduction. Rebecca's underlying disapproval was not lost on Emma. The comments, though not overtly critical, implied a sense of judgment about Emma's background. To Rebecca, Emma's life as a nurse, combined with her less than privileged upbringing and limited formal education, seemed inadequate. The perception that Emma was just a nurse created an unspoken barrier between them. Despite the uncomfortable atmosphere, James remained oblivious to his mother's reservations. His feelings for Emma were profound and genuine, and he saw only the person he loved. Driven by his deep affection and commitment, James soon proposed to Emma. His love for her was unwavering, and despite the challenges and differences that lay ahead, he was determined to build a future together. Emma accepted his proposal with a mixture of joy and apprehension, aware of the challenges that might come from bridging their disparate worlds. The road ahead promised to be complex, but with James by her side, Emma felt a renewed sense of hope and determination to overcome any obstacles that might arise. Emma's heart soared with happiness when James proposed, but the joy she felt was overshadowed by Rebecca's disapproval. Rebecca's voice was thick with disbelief and frustration as she confronted James. "James, why are you doing this? You can date her, go out with her, even stay over. But marriage, you're ruining your life," Rebecca argued vehemently. James stood firm, his voice steady despite the tension. "Mom, I love her. This is what I want," he declared. His father, Paul, stepped in, attempting to mediate. "Rebecca, calm down. James is making a thoughtful decision. Emma is a good person, and our son isn't making a hasty choice. She's not some opportunist." Rebecca's irritation flared further. "James, this is a mistake. You should listen to your mother. This relationship will only bring trouble." Paul responded with calm determination. "Rebecca, you're letting your emotions cloud your judgment. Emma has been nothing but kind and pleasant in my eyes. She's someone we should support, not judge." Rebecca's frustration reached a peak. She rolled her eyes dramatically and stormed away, unwilling to continue the argument. Her unwillingness to accept James's choice was evident, as she refused to engage in any wedding plans, opting instead to distance herself from the preparations. In contrast, Sarah's reaction was one of heartfelt joy and support. She was delighted for Emma and gave her enthusiastic blessing. Though the wedding was not grandiose, it was filled with love and sincerity. But Emma's grandmother had wisely saved the money Emily had sent over the years, converting it into a substantial sum. With this financial cushion, Emma was able to wear a beautiful white dress, making her wedding day special despite the absence of a lavish celebration. Emma and James's wedding, though modest, was a testament to their commitment to each other. They chose to focus on what truly mattered: their love and future together, rather than the grandeur of the event. The couple began their new life together with a deep sense of purpose and unity, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead, buoyed by their mutual affection and support from those who truly mattered. In her delicate white dress, Emma appeared like a vision of purity and innocence, embodying the ethereal grace of a princess. Her beauty was a stark contrast to the muted, reserved demeanor of James's parents. While Sarah's eyes brimmed with tears of joy and pride, overwhelmed by the significance of the moment, Rebecca and Paul remained stoically polite. They offered their congratulations alongside Lily and Alex, but their restrained demeanor spoke volumes about their true feelings. As the newlyweds embarked on their married life, they moved into the spacious two-story home with James's parents. The house, designed for a large family, seemed ideal for the young couple, eliminating the need for them to rent an apartment. What was meant to be a practical arrangement soon began to reveal its complications. Emma, who had always cherished the idea of having her own space and independence, found herself stifled in her new environment. The walls of the large house felt like they were closing in on her, every action and decision scrutinized by Rebecca. The constant criticisms about her clothes, her manners, and her role within the household created a stifling atmosphere. Emma, who had once enjoyed the freedom and warmth of her life with Sarah, now felt increasingly isolated and constrained. The tension in the house was palpable, and despite Emma's best efforts to remain positive and adapt, the strain was undeniable. Her efforts to make the best of the situation were often overshadowed by Rebecca's relentless disapproval. The situation grew even more challenging when Emma discovered she was pregnant. James was elated by the news, his excitement tempered by the reality of their circumstances. However, the atmosphere at home did not improve with the pregnancy. Rebecca's criticism intensified, focusing on Emma's cooking skills and housekeeping abilities. The relentless barrage of negative comments created an environment where Emma felt increasingly overwhelmed. Alone, Emma would retreat to the bathroom, where she would cry quietly, her emotions a mix of fear, frustration, and loneliness. Despite James's attempts to offer support and comfort, the formidable presence of his mother cast a long shadow over their happiness. Rebecca's incessant criticisms and visible disapproval overshadowed the joy that should have surrounded the anticipation of their new child. The joy of their impending parenthood was marred by the constant strain of Rebecca's judgment, leaving Emma to grapple with a sense of inadequacy and emotional exhaustion. In this new chapter of their lives, the promise of a fresh start was marred by the challenges of navigating family dynamics and the struggle to find a place where Emma could truly feel at home. Emma's discomfort continued to deepen, and her yearning for the freedom and simplicity of her past life with Sarah grew ever stronger. Her dreams of creating a happy family seemed increasingly distant as she struggled under the weight of Rebecca's oppressive control. The joyous anticipation she had once felt was now overshadowed by the relentless stress of navigating her new reality. Despite the challenges, Emma remained steadfast in her resolve to provide a nurturing environment for her baby. She clung to the hope that, with time, things might improve and that her efforts would bear fruit. The arrival of her healthy baby girl brought a glimmer of joy into their lives, a welcome reprieve from the persistent tensions that plagued the household. Emma poured her heart into caring for her daughter, determined to create moments of happiness amidst the ongoing strain. She balanced the demands of motherhood with the challenges of living with Rebecca, striving to find harmony amid discord. Although James continued to offer his support, the familial dynamics remained fraught, casting a shadow over their attempts at normalcy. Amid this turmoil, Emma found solace in the precious moments she shared with her daughter. The love she felt for her baby provided a beacon of hope, a reminder that despite the obstacles, there was still room for joy and connection. Emma held on to the belief that perseverance and love could eventually lead to a better future. Yet, amidst the personal turmoil, Emily, Emma's estranged mother, was making her own decisions. She visited the registry office, attending to bureaucratic matters with a sense of detachment that starkly contrasted Emma's emotional turmoil. The stress of the situation, compounded by Emily's indifference, did not go unnoticed by Emma. One night, Emma's mounting stress took a physical toll. She began to feel unwell, a wave of panic washing over her as she realized something might be seriously wrong. The distress was acute enough for her to call an ambulance in the middle of the night. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors expressed concern about the risk of miscarriage. Admitted for urgent care, Emma faced a new layer of fear and uncertainty, her hopes for a smooth recovery now tangled with the anxieties of her challenging circumstances. Emma's heart raced with anxiety as she lay in the hospital bed, her thoughts consumed by concern for her baby. Every moment was filled with a palpable fear for the well-being of her child. She followed the doctor's orders meticulously, adhering to bed rest and diligently taking all prescribed medications. The days felt interminable as she awaited any sign of improvement. A week into her hospital stay, Emma's friend Lily reached out, unaware of Emma's hospitalization. Lily had initially called for a different reason, but when she learned about Emma's condition, her concern turned urgent. Determined to support her friend, Lily hurriedly made her way to the hospital that same afternoon. Upon arrival, Lily was struck by Emma's appearance. Her friend looked alarmingly pale and frail, with dark circles under her eyes hinting at sleepless nights and overwhelming stress. Lily's heart ached for her as she unpacked a collection of treats she had brought: yogurts, fresh fruits, crisp vegetables, juice, and a selection of sweets. She set the items gently on the bedside table, hoping to offer some comfort. "Oh, Emma, you look utterly drained. This has taken a toll on you," Lily said, her voice thick with sympathy and concern. Emma managed a weak smile, her voice quivering as she spoke. "I was so terrified for the baby. I couldn't bear the thought of losing her." Lily wrapped her arms around Emma in a comforting embrace, her presence a balm for Emma's frayed nerves. After a moment of shared silence, Lily's voice took on a more serious tone. "I have some important news for you. Alex discovered something significant at the registry office. Your grandmother, before her death, made a will and left a copy there. It seems she didn't get a chance to inform you about it." Emma's eyes widened with a mix of surprise and curiosity. The news about her grandmother's will was unexpected, adding a new layer of complexity to her already tumultuous situation. As she absorbed Lily's words, her mind raced with questions about what the will might contain and how it could impact her life moving forward. Lily took a deep breath, her expression serious yet reassuring. "It means, Emma, that your mother Emily won't be able to claim the apartment or any of your grandmother's possessions. Your grandmother anticipated that there might be complications, so she made sure her wishes were legally protected. Essentially, your mother has no claim to the inheritance. Thanks to the will." A bittersweet smile touched Emma's lips as she absorbed Lily's words. "She was truly remarkable, the best," Emma said softly, her gratitude evident. "Thank you, Lily, and thank you to Alex as well. You both have been such wonderful friends. I can't even begin to imagine how I would manage without you." Their conversation continued for a while longer, with Lily offering comforting words and practical advice. She reminded Emma to take her vitamins, to rest and recover fully, and to return home as soon as she was able. Lily eventually left, her concern for her friend clear in every word and gesture. As Emma settled back into her hospital routine, the news of her grandmother's will continued to echo in her mind. Meanwhile, Emily, driven into a frenzy by the discovery that she wouldn't be receiving any part of the inheritance, stormed into the registry office. Her outrage was palpable as she accused the staff of fraud, claiming that her mother was not in her right mind when the will was made. Her threats of legal action and accusations of deceit caused a commotion, and she was swiftly escorted out by security. Undeterred, Emily proceeded to Emma's apartment, her frustration boiling over. She pounded on the door and shouted her daughter's name, but the apartment remained silent. Despite her persistent knocking and calling, no one answered. A concerned neighbor, observing Emily's erratic behavior from the hallway, threatened to call the police. Realizing she had no other option, Emily fled the scene, but her determination remained unshaken. She vowed to return the following day, certain that she would not let this issue rest until she had her say. The following day, Emily sought the counsel of a lawyer, hoping for a glimmer of hope in her bleak situation. However, the lawyer's response was a crushing blow. He informed her that her chances of contesting the will were virtually non-existent. With a deep sense of defeat, Emily learned that the apartment, her only remaining link to any semblance of stability, had been bequeathed to her eldest daughter, and she had no grounds to challenge it. Compounding her despair was the fact that she had also relinquished guardianship of her minor daughter, Emma. With her spirit crushed and her hopes dashed, Emily returned to her home country with her husband and teenage daughter, feeling empty-handed, bitter, and profoundly disheartened. The return journey was a silent one, marked by her husband's growing concern over Emily's palpable distress. Upon arriving, Emily finally broke her silence. In a moment of raw vulnerability, she poured out her heart to her husband. She confessed her exhaustion with family life, revealing how the burden of housework and the monotony of daily responsibilities had sapped her of joy. She spoke of her frustration over her mother's will, which had left her with nothing while granting everything to her eldest daughter. Emily longed for freedom and ease, yet felt trapped in a cycle of unending domestic duties and dissatisfaction. Her husband listened intently, his face a mask of bewilderment and concern. He absorbed her grievances without interrupting but struggled to reconcile the woman before him with the Emily he had known. He had suspected that there were complexities and hidden truths in Emily's story, but the extent of her dissatisfaction and the revelations about her eldest daughter were more profound than he had imagined. It was clear that the emotional turmoil Emily had endured was far deeper than he had anticipated, leaving him grappling with the painful realization that their family dynamics were far more fractured than he had ever understood. The realization hit him like a thunderclap. He had been married to a woman who, despite appearing human, was a monster in her disregard for her children, forsaking them for wealth and comfort. The truth was horrifying. She had given birth to children only to abandon them, leaving them to fend for themselves while she sought a more luxurious life. Overcome by disillusionment and anger, he decided to divorce Emily. He fought for and secured custody of their daughter, firmly barring Emily from any contact. As for Emily, she chose to walk away, determined to find her happiness once more, despite the wreckage left behind. 2 weeks later, Emma was finally discharged from the hospital. With renewed resolve, she dedicated herself to avoiding stress and focusing on the well-being of herself and her newborn. Her neighbors informed her of Emily's brief and unsuccessful visit, which brought Emma a sense of relief. "I hope she doesn't come back," Emma thought, pushing aside any lingering worries about the past. Embracing the present, she settled into her routine, savoring the simple joys of everyday life. Her pregnancy was progressing, and her belly began to show, marking a new chapter in her journey. One day, as Emma was going about her day, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. With no prior notice of visitors, she went to open the door, curious about who might be standing on the other side. To her astonishment, Paul Johnson, James' father, was there, looking both earnest and concerned. "Hello," Emma greeted him, her voice tinged with surprise and curiosity as she opened the door. Emma was taken aback by Paul's unexpected visit and his genuine concern. She led him into the kitchen, where the kettle was soon boiling. As Paul looked around, his eyes settled on Emma's growing belly. Emma, noticing his gaze, gently caressed her stomach and nodded. "Yes, it's James," Emma confirmed. Paul sighed deeply. "I came on my own accord because everything that happened is a nightmare. I felt compelled to offer my apologies, even though I'm not sure what good it will do now. But why didn't you say anything before? If you had, maybe things could have been different. James should have been supporting you and the child." Emma shook her head. "I didn't realize right away. By the time I did, James had already made up his mind. He was looking forward to his new life with Christina, and I was no longer a part of his plans." Paul's face was etched with regret. "Emma, if you knew how ashamed I am, ashamed of my son, my wife, and this whole situation. It's beyond words." Emma offered a warm, understanding smile. "You don't need to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not your fault." Paul nodded, then remembered the purpose of his visit. He began unpacking bags of fruits and sweets, placing them on the kitchen table. "I brought you these. I thought you might need them, especially now. And, well, I hope it brings a little comfort." Emma's eyes softened as she looked at the generous gifts. "Thank you, Paul. This means a lot." Paul gave a reassuring smile. "You're welcome. If there's anything more I can do, please let me know. I want to make things right in any way I can." As they continued to talk, Emma felt a small sense of relief. Despite the turmoil of the past months, Paul's visit and his heartfelt apology provided a moment of solace and a reminder that there were still people who cared. Emma took a deep breath, appreciating Paul's support and understanding. "I'm grateful for your help, Paul," she said, her voice steady despite the emotional weight of the conversation. "I haven't decided whether or not I want James to know about the baby yet. I'm still processing everything." Paul nodded, acknowledging Emma's struggle. "I get it. This isn't an easy situation, and you have every right to make the choice that feels best for you and your child. Just remember, James has responsibilities that he can't ignore, regardless of his new life." Emma glanced at the table, where Paul's gifts were laid out. "Thank you for bringing these. They're very thoughtful. And for offering to help. It means a lot to me." Paul smiled gently. "It's the least I can do. I know you're going through a tough time, and I want to make things a bit easier for you." Emma sighed. "But what about your wife? You said she doesn't know about this." Paul's expression became serious. "Yes, she doesn't know. I haven't shared this with her. And to be honest, our relationship is complicated. She's my wife for now, but she isn't the love of my life. I'm hoping that by helping you, I can at least do something right." Emma looked at him, touched by his honesty. "I appreciate your openness. It must be difficult balancing everything." "It is," Paul admitted. "But seeing you in this situation, I realize how much more important it is to do the right thing and support those who need it." As they continued to talk and share coffee and cake, Emma felt a renewed sense of hope. Despite the challenges she faced, knowing that Paul was willing to help and that someone cared gave her a small, comforting sense of stability amid her turbulent life. Emma's heart sank at James's dismissive response. His words stung, but she steadied herself, taking a deep breath. "James," she said firmly, "whether you like it or not, this is your child. I'm not looking for trouble, but you have responsibilities." James's expression hardened. "Responsibilities? I don't see how this concerns me anymore," he said, his voice cold. "We're no longer connected, and I have no intention of getting involved." Emma clenched her fists, struggling to maintain her composure. "It's not just about what you want. It's about what's right for the child. Whether you acknowledge it or not, you're a part of their life." James looked around, clearly uncomfortable. "I don't want to discuss this here. I have nothing more to say," he said, his voice tinged with irritation. Without waiting for a response, he turned and walked away. Emma stood in the hallway, feeling a mix of frustration and sadness. She wanted to scream at him, to make him understand, but she knew that confrontation wouldn't help. She reminded herself of her purpose to provide a stable and loving environment for her child. Determined to move forward, Emma resumed her tasks at the office. She knew she couldn't rely on James for support, so she focused on her strength and resilience. With Paul's help and her determination, she would make sure her child had everything needed for a happy and healthy life. The encounter with James was a harsh reminder of the challenges she faced, but it also reinforced her resolve. She would continue to work hard, provide for her child, and find solace in the support of those who truly cared about her. Emma felt a deep sense of fulfillment as she held her newborn daughter, Sarah. The journey to this moment had been fraught with challenges, but seeing her baby's tiny face made everything worthwhile. The love and support she received from those around her provided a comforting reassurance that she wasn't alone. Paul's presence, though complicated by his past with Emily and his strained relationship with James, was a source of strength. His kindness and willingness to help showed Emma that not all connections from her past were negative. Lily and Alex's involvement was equally heartening, with Alex's offer to assemble the crib and Lily's unwavering support. As the days went by, Emma adjusted to her new life with Sarah. The joy of motherhood was a powerful balm for her previous struggles. She found solace in the little moments, Sarah's first coos, the way her tiny fingers wrapped around Emma's own, and the quiet, peaceful nights spent rocking her baby to sleep. Emma's life was different now, marked by the responsibilities and joys of motherhood. She looked forward to each new day, eager to build a loving and nurturing environment for Sarah. The road ahead wasn't without its difficulties, but Emma felt equipped to face them with resilience and hope. Paul's continued support and the companionship of Lily and Alex provided a solid foundation. Emma knew that while she was raising Sarah on her own, she was surrounded by people who cared deeply for both her and her daughter. Emma's heart swelled with pride and love as she introduced Sarah to those who had been there for her throughout her pregnancy. She looked forward to the future with optimism, cherishing the newfound happiness that came with having her daughter by her side. Life had taken unexpected turns, but Emma's strength and the support of her loved ones had led her to a place of true contentment. Paul listened intently as Emma spoke on the phone, her voice tinged with determination and a hint of nervousness. Emma's decision to take James to court for the child support payments was a difficult but necessary step. Although she had hoped for an amicable resolution, James's reluctance to comply meant that legal action was the only recourse left. Outside, Paul was pacing back and forth, trying to manage his emotions. He had been a pillar of support for Emma throughout this ordeal, and it pained him to see her struggling with the complexities of her situation. His concern was not only for Emma, but also for the well-being of his granddaughter, Sarah. As Paul hung up, he took a deep breath, trying to calm himself before returning to the house. Inside, Rebecca and Christina were in the midst of dinner preparations, and Paul's brief absence had gone unnoticed. The atmosphere in the kitchen was light and filled with the aroma of a home-cooked meal, a stark contrast to the storm brewing in Emma's life. Paul entered the kitchen, where Rebecca and Christina were chatting about everyday matters. He attempted to act as if nothing was amiss, but his mind was still focused on Emma's situation. "Everything okay?" Rebecca asked, noting the strained look on his face. "Yes, just needed to take a call," Paul replied, forcing a smile. "Nothing to worry about." Rebecca and Christina continued their conversation, seemingly oblivious to the internal turmoil Paul was experiencing. He excused himself from the dinner table, choosing instead to focus on ways to further support Emma and ensure that James met his legal obligations. In the following weeks, the legal proceedings continued, and Emma's determination did not wane. With Paul's assistance and the support of her friends, she navigated the complexities of the legal system. The court case was challenging, but Emma remained resolute. Eventually, the court ruled in Emma's favor, affirming James's responsibility for child support. The ruling brought a sense of relief and closure to Emma, allowing her to focus on raising Sarah without the additional stress of legal battles. Emma's life gradually found a new rhythm, marked by the joys and challenges of motherhood. She continued to cherish the support of her friends and Paul, who remained a constant presence in her life. The love and care she received from those around her provided a strong foundation for her and Sarah's future. Despite the difficulties she had faced, Emma embraced her new life with hope and optimism. She realized that the strength and resilience she had gained through her experiences had prepared her for the future. With Sarah by her side and a supportive network of friends and family, Emma looked forward to the journey ahead, finding happiness in the everyday moments and the love that surrounded her. Emma's heart sank as she heard Rebecca's chilling plan. The words were sharp and clear, revealing Rebecca's intentions to use the legal system to strip Emma of her rights and take over the care of Sarah. Emma was struck by the coldness of Rebecca's scheme and the looming threat it posed to her relationship with her daughter. She took a deep breath and steeled herself. It was clear that the battle was far from over, and that Rebecca's influence over James and the legal system would not be easy to counter. Emma knew she had to act quickly and decisively to protect her rights and ensure that Sarah remained with her. Emma called Paul immediately, her voice trembling with anxiety but also firm with determination. "Paul, I just overheard Rebecca's plan. She wants to take Sarah from me and have her adopted. I can't let that happen. What do I do?" "Paul, who had been grappling with his feelings of anger and frustration towards the situation, was now even more resolved to help Emma. "Emma, we need to take action. I'll consult with our lawyer and see what steps we can take to prevent this from happening. You need to stay calm and focused." "Thank you, Paul. I'm really scared, but I know I have to fight for Sarah. She's everything to me," Emma said, trying to hold back her tears. Paul assured Emma that they would do everything in their power to protect her rights and the well-being of her daughter. He emphasized that Emma needed to document everything and continue to work closely with their legal team. Meanwhile, James, having been caught between his own conflicting emotions and his mother's manipulative schemes, found himself in a difficult position. While he had initially shown no interest in Sarah, Rebecca's pressure and the legal proceedings had forced him into a corner. He had to navigate his responsibilities as a father, even as he struggled with his role in the family drama orchestrated by his mother. The legal battle continued with increased intensity. Emma and her lawyer gathered evidence of her suitability as a parent, demonstrating her love and commitment to Sarah. They argued strongly against Rebecca's attempts to undermine Emma's parental rights. Paul, along with Lily and Alex, provided unwavering support throughout the proceedings. Their testimonies and the evidence they presented played a crucial role in highlighting Emma's dedication to her daughter and the strength of their family bond. As the court hearings progressed, the emotional toll on Emma was significant, but she remained resilient. The legal team worked tirelessly to ensure that the judge had a clear understanding of the situation and the importance of keeping Sarah with her mother. In the end, the court ruled in favor of Emma, affirming her rights as Sarah's mother and ensuring that Rebecca's attempts to adopt Sarah were blocked. The judge's decision reinforced the importance of maintaining the child's stability and the primary bond between mother and daughter. Emma felt a profound sense of relief and gratitude as she held Sarah close, knowing that she had fought hard to secure her daughter's future. Although the battle had been tough, Emma's determination, supported by Paul, Lily, and Alex, had ultimately prevailed. Emma's life gradually returned to a semblance of normalcy, and she focused on creating a loving and stable environment for Sarah. With the support of her friends and the lessons learned from the challenging experience, Emma embraced her role as a mother with renewed hope and strength, finding joy in the everyday moments with her daughter. Paul stormed out, his frustration boiling over. He was determined to stand up for Emma and ensure that Rebecca's manipulative schemes didn't succeed. The confrontation sparked a fierce resolve within him to protect his granddaughter and rectify the wrongs that had been done. Rebecca and Christina were left in the kitchen, stunned and uncertain about how to react. Rebecca, trying to regain her composure, looked at Christina. "We need to find another way. Paul's not going to let this go easily." Christina, her expression a mix of confusion and resignation, replied, "I don't understand why he's so involved now. He never seemed to care about James's previous actions or our plans. This has turned into a mess." Meanwhile, Paul was on the phone with Emma, updating her on the situation and urging her to remain vigilant. "Emma, I just had a confrontation with Rebecca and Christina. They're not giving up easily. We need to be prepared for more attempts from their side. I'm meeting with our lawyer to discuss the next steps." "Thank you, Paul," Emma said, her voice steady despite the turmoil she felt. "I appreciate everything you're doing. I'll continue to gather all the support I can." With renewed determination, Paul set up a meeting with the lawyer to strategize and address Rebecca's new tactics. The legal team worked diligently to strengthen their case and ensure that Emma's rights were protected. In the following days, Emma and Paul, supported by Lily and Alex, continued to build a strong case. They collected affidavits from friends and neighbors, documented Emma's efforts to provide a stable home for Sarah, and prepared for any further legal challenges Rebecca might pose. As tensions escalated, Paul's advocacy for Emma became a beacon of hope and strength. His willingness to confront his family and fight for what was right stood in stark contrast to the manipulative tactics employed by Rebecca and Christina. The support from Paul, Lily, and Alex proved instrumental in fortifying Emma's position. In court, the evidence presented by Emma's legal team highlighted her unwavering commitment to Sarah and underscored Rebecca's attempts to manipulate the situation for her benefit. The judge's decision reaffirmed Emma's role as Sarah's primary caregiver and blocked any further attempts by Rebecca to claim parental rights. The legal victory was a significant relief for Emma, allowing her to focus on building a loving and nurturing environment for Sarah. Despite the challenges and the emotional toll, Emma felt a profound sense of accomplishment and gratitude for the support she received. As time went on, Emma's life settled into a routine of joyful moments with Sarah, surrounded by friends who had become like family. The trials and tribulations strengthened Emma's resolve and deepened her appreciation for the love and support she had from those who truly cared for her and her daughter. With the legal battles behind her, Emma looked forward to a future filled with hope, knowing that she had fought tirelessly for her daughter's well-being and had emerged stronger from the experience. Christina looked questioningly at her mother-in-law. After a moment of silence, Rebecca gestured dismissively. "He won't do anything. The house had become a nest of evil and deceit." Paul's decision to support Emma in the battle against Rebecca and James marked a turning point in their struggle. He knew the stakes were high and that Rebecca's attempts to undermine Emma's ability to care for Sarah needed to be met with firm resistance. The lawyer they hired was highly experienced in family law and had a strong track record of handling contentious custody battles. With Alex's help, they gathered all the necessary documents, evidence of Emma's stable and loving home environment, and records of the unfounded complaints made by Rebecca. This meticulous preparation was crucial in countering Rebecca's baseless claims. Paul's filing for divorce and division of property against Rebecca was not just a personal matter, but also a strategic move to ensure that Rebecca's influence over James was minimized. It demonstrated Paul's commitment to standing up for what was right and his resolve to clear Emma's path from further interference. In the ensuing weeks, the legal battles became more intense. Rebecca and James continued to push for custody, but the evidence and testimonies gathered by Emma, Paul, and their legal team painted a clear picture of Rebecca's ulterior motives. The legal team highlighted the manipulative behavior of Rebecca and the lack of genuine concern for Sarah's well-being. During this period, Emma continued to focus on providing the best care for Sarah. She maintained a routine that ensured Sarah's health and happiness while navigating the complexities of the legal proceedings. Her support network, including Lily, Alex, and Paul, remained steadfast, offering both practical help and emotional support. Paul's divorce proceedings against Rebecca further complicated matters for Rebecca and James. It became increasingly clear that Rebecca's manipulative schemes were backfiring, and James was forced to confront the reality of his actions. The public nature of the legal battles and the exposure of Rebecca's behavior put additional pressure on them. As the court hearings unfolded, the judge took into account the comprehensive evidence provided by Emma's legal team. Emma's dedication to Sarah's well-being and the documented attempts by Rebecca to undermine Emma's parental rights played a significant role in the court's decision. In the end, the court ruled in Emma's favor, reaffirming her custody of Sarah and dismissing the claims made by Rebecca and James. The judgment also included a provision for James to continue paying child support as previously ordered. Emma's resilience and the support from her allies proved instrumental in securing a favorable outcome. With the legal battles behind her, Emma was able to focus on her life with Sarah. The turmoil and uncertainty that had clouded their lives began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of stability and peace. Emma's relationship with Paul remained strong, and he continued to be a cherished part of their lives. Lily and Alex remained close friends, providing ongoing support and companionship. Emma's journey, marked by challenges and triumphs, ultimately led to a life filled with hope and happiness. She had navigated the complexities of her circumstances with grace and strength, and as Sarah grew, Emma looked forward to a future where she could fully embrace the joys of motherhood and the love of those around her. In the courtroom, the atmosphere was tense as both sides presented their arguments. Emma, supported by her lawyer and Paul, stood firm in her defense. James, with his new wife Rebecca by his side, tried to present his case, but Emma's detailed account of the events was clear and compelling. James continued, "Emma's claims are an attempt to manipulate the situation. I never wanted a child with her after our divorce. I was informed of her pregnancy only after it was too late, and I had already made plans for my future." Emma's lawyer interjected, presenting evidence to counter James's claims. "Your Honor, we have documents showing that James was aware of Emma's pregnancy during their marriage. Furthermore, James's refusal to acknowledge the child and his subsequent behavior has been documented and corroborated by multiple witnesses, including Emma's friends and family." Paul, taking the stand as a witness, recounted his experiences and interactions with James. He described James's indifference and the lack of genuine concern for the child. Paul's testimony was heartfelt and aimed to show the court James's lack of commitment to his responsibilities as a father. Rebecca's involvement was also scrutinized. The court examined her role and influence over James's decisions. Rebecca's attempts to discredit Emma and manipulate the situation were evident, and the court took these into account. As the hearing progressed, the judge carefully reviewed all evidence and testimonies. The arguments from both sides were weighed, and the judge focused on determining what was in the best interest of the child. Emma's consistent care for Sarah and her dedication as a mother were highlighted, contrasting sharply with James's reluctance to accept responsibility. The judge ruled in Emma's favor, emphasizing the importance of stability and the child's well-being. The decision reaffirmed Emma's custody of Sarah and mandated James to continue paying child support as previously ordered. The court also dismissed Rebecca's attempts to gain custody, recognizing her motivations as unjust and manipulative. Paul's support proved invaluable in this case. His commitment to standing by Emma and providing crucial testimony helped solidify her position. Emma, relieved and grateful, felt a deep sense of justice and vindication. As Emma left the courthouse, she felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. The legal battles were behind her, and she could now focus on creating a loving and stable environment for Sarah. With the support of Paul, Lily, Alex, and her close friends, Emma looked forward to a future where she could fully embrace her role as a mother and build a life filled with joy and stability for herself and her daughter. As the gavel struck and the court's decision was announced, a mix of relief and tension filled the room. James's outburst only underscored his frustration and denial, but the court's ruling was clear. Emma had been validated in her efforts to secure a stable future for Sarah. Emma's lawyer addressed the court, "Your Honor, the decision to establish a visitation schedule ensures that Sarah will have the opportunity to know her father, but it also provides her with the stability and security she needs. Emma will continue to be the primary caregiver, and we are confident that this arrangement will serve the best interests of the child." James, still visibly upset, tried to argue but was quickly dismissed by the judge. The court has made its decision based on the evidence and testimonies provided. It is in the best interest of Sarah that both parents fulfill their responsibilities and obligations. Emma, though emotionally exhausted, felt a profound sense of justice. She had fought hard for her rights and the well-being of her daughter. Paul and her friends supported her, and their encouragement helped her navigate this challenging period. After the proceedings, Emma took Sarah back home, where she could finally focus on creating a peaceful and loving environment for her daughter. The ongoing support from Lily, Alex, and Paul provided Emma with a strong network, reinforcing her determination to move forward. James's visitation rights were carefully supervised, ensuring that Sarah's interactions with her father were positive and respectful. Emma was vigilant but hopeful that, over time, these interactions could help Sarah build a relationship with her father under safe and stable conditions. As the weeks passed, Emma adapted to her new routine with Sarah, finding joy in the small, everyday moments of motherhood. She was grateful for the closure and the support system that had come together to help her through the trials she faced. Emma's life began to settle into a new rhythm, one focused on nurturing her daughter and enjoying the companionship of friends and family who had stood by her side. The court's decision had provided a resolution, allowing Emma to embrace the future with hope and confidence. The Johnson family's situation rapidly deteriorated, creating a volatile environment filled with conflict and disarray. The aftermath of the divorce and the court's decision had left everyone in a state of turmoil, and the fallout was evident in their daily lives. Rebecca's struggles with alcoholism deepened, and her behavior became increasingly erratic. Her former colleagues at the gym were shocked by the abrupt change in her demeanor and were saddened to see someone who once held a responsible position fall so far. The loss of her job only exacerbated her feelings of worthlessness and desperation, further isolating her from any support network she might have had. Christina's frustration with the chaos at home compounded her stress, leading to frequent arguments and displays of anger. She found it difficult to cope with the deteriorating family dynamics and resented the disruption to her life plans. Her anger often erupted into explosive tantrums, creating a hostile environment for everyone in the household. James, overwhelmed by the collapse of his family's stability and his inability to cope with the situation, sought refuge in bars. His frequent absences from home were a means of escape from the constant tension and conflicts that plagued his personal life. His behavior only further distanced him from his responsibilities and strained his already troubled relationships with his mother and wife. In contrast, Emma focused on maintaining stability and creating a positive environment for Sarah. Despite the ongoing challenges with James, who continued to ignore his obligations, Emma remained resolute in her commitment to her daughter. She leaned on her friends and the support network she had built, finding strength in their encouragement and assistance. Paul, now separated from Rebecca, found some solace in his role as a supportive figure for Emma and Sarah. He continued to offer his help and guidance, showing that despite the personal upheaval, he was committed to ensuring that Emma and Sarah had the support they needed. The contrasting experiences of the two families highlighted the impact of unresolved issues and the importance of facing difficulties with honesty and responsibility. Emma's focus on building a loving home for Sarah stood in stark contrast to the disarray that had consumed the Johnson family, showcasing her resilience and determination amidst the chaos. The Johnson family's struggles continued to ripple through their lives, creating a series of unfortunate events and strained relationships. Paul, however, found solace in his new home and his role as a supportive figure for Emma and Sarah. His decision to live separately from James and Christina was a relief from the chaos that had previously surrounded him. James's attempts to convince his father to buy a larger house for him and Christina were met with firm resistance. Paul's refusal to indulge in his son's demands and his choice to live independently reflected his desire to distance himself from the ongoing turmoil. Despite James's pleas and manipulative tactics, Paul remained resolute in his decision to maintain his peace and stability. Rebecca's situation deteriorated further as she struggled with her issues. Her new apartment in the city center was a small consolation amidst the chaos of her life. Her reliance on Christina's parents for financial assistance only added to the tension within her family. Her erratic behavior and alcoholism continued to strain her relationships with her son and daughter-in-law. The constant arguments and demands from Christina exacerbated the discord, creating an environment of hostility. Christina's dissatisfaction with their new living situation only added to the strain. Her frustration with the reduced lifestyle and her ongoing tantrums caused further friction in her relationship with James. Despite their efforts to rebuild their lives, the couple found themselves increasingly isolated and discontented. Emma, on the other hand, found comfort and support in her new routine. Paul's gesture of inviting her and Sarah to his new home and the time they spent together brought joy to Emma's life. The presence of a supportive grandfather and the stability he provided were invaluable to Emma and her daughter. Paul's involvement in Sarah's life, despite the challenges he faced, was a testament to his enduring commitment to his family. Emma's work with Sergio and Leo added a new dimension to her life. Her compassionate care for Sergio and her empathy towards Leo, who had lost his wife and mother, provided Emma with a sense of purpose and connection. The gratitude expressed by her clients reaffirmed her belief in the importance of family and the value of nurturing relationships. As Emma navigated her path, she found solace in her growing friendship with Lily, who had recently given birth to a daughter. Their outings together and their shared experiences as mothers offered Emma moments of happiness and camaraderie. The park strolls with Lily became a cherished routine, providing Emma with a sense of normalcy and support. Despite the ongoing challenges with James and the complexities of her past, Emma remained focused on creating a positive environment for Sarah. Her decision to pursue legal action to strip James of his parental rights was a difficult but necessary step to ensure her daughter's well-being. The accumulated child support debt and James's continued absence from Sarah's life further justified her actions. Paul's departure from Rebecca's life marked a new beginning for him. His decision to cut ties with his ex-wife and focus on his happiness was a significant step towards healing and moving forward. Rebecca's downward spiral and the discord within James and Christina's household were stark reminders of the consequences of unresolved issues and poor decisions. Amid these challenges, Emma found strength in her support network, the growing bond with her daughter, and the unexpected connections she made through her work. Her resilience and determination to build a fulfilling life for herself and Sarah remained unwavering, even as the remnants of her past continued to impact those around her. As we reach the end of today's story, we've witnessed a journey filled with emotional challenges, personal growth, and the power of resilience. From the turmoil within the Johnson family to Emma's strength in rebuilding her life, there are valuable lessons about family, responsibility, and moving forward with grace. So what have you learned from Emma's journey and the struggles faced by the Johnson family? Reflect on the key takeaways and how they might apply to your own life. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What is one lesson or insight you've gained from this story that you plan to bring into your own life? Please share your reflections in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and found it insightful, don't forget to leave a like, share it with friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Your support helps us continue to bring you stories and insights that matter. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.